How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to Healing is Freedom podcast. I am your host, Vanita Queen Abrams, and today's episode is something that is dear to my heart because I am an educator. And the title today is, well, you know what? Before we even talk about the title, let's talk about this beautiful, phenomenal woman that's sitting to the right of me, maybe to the left of you, Dr. Cheryl Watkins. How are you doing, Dr.
I am
Watkins?
wonderful. Thank
That
you for
is
asking.
good. You know what? I am so glad you're here. And let me tell you why. I know this is like we jumping the gun, but I want to tell you on live, look, podcast, not TV,
Yes.
that I really, really admire you. And let me tell you why. The topic is we're talking about the lack of education and support in the educational system, right?
Right.
You are the epitome of what education should be. It's like your aura is educationally inclined with what life should be like in all of our children, man and woman, girl and boy, and the way your essence is. It's even when I've seen you up, kind of like little upset a little bit about something that just was out of order. 'Cause you don't like things out of order, and it was still it was pleasant though.
Okay.
It was just, and I look back, I said, wow, you know what, if all of us had just a little bit of Dr. Cheryl Watkins
Oh my
with
goodness.
us, education would be flawless.
Oh my goodness.
So with nothing else further to say, the title for episode 16 is the lack of education and how it hinders our children in the educational system. And that's something that when we were in Ghana, Dr. Watkins was talking about how it's unfair. So I'm just going to let her take the mic and fall into where are we going right now as educators with our babies system.
Well, first, let me say thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for inviting me. I absolutely am honored to be here and to sit in these big chairs. I'm like, now this is some type of fancy. So thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
This let me give a little bit of my background
Yeah,
first.
yeah,
Let me
yeah.
do that so that
Please
people
do.
know who I
Yeah.
am. I am the real
Oh, that's right. You know what? I should have given the background, but I just had to let her know. See, I thought you all already knew her. My apologies. Let's rewind. So, Dr. Watkins, tell us a little bit about yourself,
Yes,
your journey in education.
I will. Um, Anywhere I go, in my bios, when
Mm-hmm.
people ask me to speak and I share my bio, I let them know that I loved teaching and I
Mm-hmm.
played school on my back porch when I was a little girl. That was a big deal to play
Yeah.
school. And so on rainy days, the kids would come
Mm.
over to my back porch and they'd let me be the teacher. My own teachers at my school would save the ditto papers, those papers that were with that purple ink. And
Oh, I
so we
remember
would get them and they were
that.
wet, and then you put them up to your nose and you would
Yes.
smell them. And I
Yes.
told people we were low key getting high. We didn't know what we were doing, but that is what was happening. But they would save those papers, the ones that didn't come out so clear. You could just,
Yeah, I
a little bit
remember
of a flaw.
those.
Well, they would save those for me. Mrs. Annie
Mm.
Ruth Lawrence, I loved her. She passed
Mm.
just recently. But
Mm.
she would save them and have them in a box, and I would get them, and that's what I would use to play school with. And so those
Wow.
rainy days meant a lot to me. But I
Yes.
started doing it then. If you
Mm.
talk to my best friend from high school, Angela Amos, she'll say, "You always been bossy." And I say, "I don't even know what you're talking about." My siblings say, "Oh yeah, you're bossy." But it bode well for me in the
Yeah.
classroom. So all three, I have 4 degrees, but 3 of them are in education,
Mm.
specifically special education, and then I have a
Mm.
degree in chaplaincy.
Mm.
So I retired from Chicago Public Schools
As the drum roll,
as a
please.
chief of schools for Network 13. I did, where I was responsible for 31 schools.
Wow.
Um, More than 11,000 students, 700 teachers, 300 teacher
Wow.
assistants. What a great opportunity it was.
And still, by the way, pause. And looking fine.
Oh,
You look amazing,
you
baby.
are
I just want
correct.
to let you
You
know
you
that.
are correct.
Go on.
You
That
are
was just a
correct.
commercial break, y'all. Go ahead.
I'm not
Go
arguing
ahead,
with
Dr.
you.
Watkins.
Listen, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just not. But after that, then launched my private business, which is
Mm.
Monarch Education Consultants,
Okay.
and then went to school and got my degree in chaplaincy.
Wow.
So
And did your first sermon last Sunday.
Well,
2 Sundays ago, right?
No, that wasn't my first sermon.
Well, at Oakdale.
At Oakdale.
At our church.
I did my first Sunday sermon at Oakdale.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is correct.
It's amazing.
Titled He's Sovereign, because he is.
That was amazing.
But so, and actually, thank you for that, because I started that sermon out saying, you know what, I am an educator, so it would not be right if I didn't give you a language arts lesson. So I had to break down the word sovereign.
Yes, you did.
I did.
And
yes,
now
I did. That's correct. Now you know. Now you know. When we talk about education, though, so every conversation I've ever had with anybody about education, I walked away with some key knowledge. And so, you know, we didn't have cell phones that allowed you to take notes. I had a brick, like everybody else probably did, but I would write down the comments that people made. I'd jot them down on a piece of paper in one of my journals. And when I decided that I wanted to start my own school, I did it built around all these different conversations about education that I had had with people. So it could have been with a student, because of course I started out as a teacher. It could have been with a parent. It could have been with anybody, a passerby. We sitting on the bus stop, just talking, and the topic of education came up. And I would say, you know, what do you think schools need? And people always have opinions. So every opinion, every thought, I use that to start my school. Now, when I did that proposal, it was what I thought was the best model for a successful school. We had the basics. That was my big thing. So we're not trying to be, you know, too grandiose. We just want some reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what I wanted. So we focused on the basics. So reading, writing, and arithmetic. Science was critical and key, but also there was an interest around filling in that gap. And that gap is around extracurricular activities. So in my school, my students went to learn how to fence. We did very atypical things. We had the only archery team for middle schoolers in the city of Chicago.
Wow.
So, and now I can talk about it even more largely because, you know, we're done. It's over. But we did. And we would go downstate every year. And every year we'd take second because there were only 2 middle school teams. So we weren't as good as the kids who were downstate hunting with bow and arrow. But yeah, and that was Jeff Skoselich. He was an awesome teacher. Wow. So I filled the school with all these things that I thought would be the best.
You know what it reminds me of, Marva Collins? I mean, it's like, you know, we just came from Ghana together and we saw a lot of historical connections, and that's the connection. That's your lineage.
Absolutely.
That's the connection. But go on. I just wanted to, I was feeling that, like, all I kept seeing and hearing is Marva Collins. But go on.
That's nice to be compared to Marva Collins. I think that's an honor.
Yeah.
But our school was successful. We were the first winners of the Having a Ballroom Dance competition. We didn't play. We came out the box swinging. And the late Michael Scott said that. He said, "Oh, you all are not playing." I said, "No, sir, we are not." And it was just as important for me to provide those extracurricular engagements as it was for me to have a solid reading teacher in front of them. Because if you can't read, you cannot compute. You cannot solve any kind of a scientific formula. You can't do anything in any other discipline if you cannot read.
So what inspired you, Dr. Watkins, to start all of this wonders and touch so many lives and encourage so many educators and still doing it and retired? Get out of here.
So listen, my mother was an avid reader. My mother would have a magazine. She'd have a book. She'd have the newspaper. That's all you saw. She was always reading. And I loved that. My mother would dog ear the pages of her books, though.
Dog ear?
Dog ear. Bend
like,
them over.
Oh, I didn't know that's what they call it.
The corner. And I remember saying, "I'm not ever going to hurt my books like that." I'm like, "Oh, she's hurting the books. I'm never going to hurt my books like that." I fell in love with reading and writing at a young age. My mother told us that education is not an option. You're going to school. Like you don't opt out of that. My father said the only regret he had in life. Now my father was A brilliant man, had traveled the world, could speak several different languages. He said his only regret was not having more education. So, in our little household, I didn't realize we were poor, but we were poor. I didn't realize it until later on. I asked my mother, I said, Mama, were we poor as children? She said, yeah, we were poor.
But you know why you didn't know then? Because love was so wealthy.
Absolutely.
Love was so healthy and love was so wealthy.
If love looked like you better get in there and get that work done, then that was love. That's
that was
right.
Love.
That was
love.
But yeah, so my mom and dad didn't play about education. We were going to be in school, no matter what. I remember her saying, "Oh, you want to work? You can work, but you're going to school too, so figure that out." And she wasn't talking to me because I was always in school. She was talking to my sister. Oh, you can go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah, that's good. Get a job. How you gonna work that around school? Because she said that's the only thing that cannot be taken away from you.
That's right.
Your education cannot be taken away from you.
They can rip everything, but when you got it here,
absolutely,
it's here.
They cannot take it away from you.
Wow.
And so she was really my push. When I finished my doctorate, my mother by that time had Alzheimer's. And I wasn't going to participate in graduation. My chair said, "Oh, you're going to participate." And I'm like, you don't tell me I'm not going to do it. But she was adamant that I was. Now, my mother, we had a wheelchair. She was there, family and friends, all of them in a section. It was wonderful. But I thought my mother's not really going to know. Like, this is really for her. So later on, from her hospital bed, when she was in the hospital one of those times, the doctor was talking to her and she said, "Oh, wait a minute, you're going to have to wait for my daughter to get here, Dr. Cheryl D. Watkins." And I thought I would pass out. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Alzheimer's what?
She remembered
your name.
I'm like, Mom, how did you know that I was how did you know that happened?
Right.
And of course she couldn't communicate that, but she knew. And so I was grateful that my chair said, "Oh no, you're gonna do it."
Yeah.
I was grateful for that push. But it was my mom. So my mom was definitely my inspiration. And again, falling in love with books. I just don't think that's a bad thing.
So it was a win-win situation.
All the way around.
Let me ask you this. From your experience, the second question was growing up. I'm like, oh, she's answering that. So we're going to keep it moving. But from your experience as an educator and leader, what were the biggest gaps you saw in our children in education today? So from all of that, all of those implementations from your mom and the encouragement and the motivation, what's the gap now? Because, yes, I'm going to leave it right there. Yeah.
So the gap existed then and it still exists.
Okay.
And so there is definitely a disconnect, unfortunately, from home to school. So
let's talk about it.
I was going to say the imaginary person sitting here is saying,
talk about it.
What does that look like? What does that sound like?
It.
I believe that when in my era, when I was growing up, the mantra that you heard again was, "Oh, what school are you going to? You going to college? Where are you going? Where are you going to college?" Right? Like that was the language. Now the language is, "Oh, how are you going to make money?" So there's a difference between getting some education and making money. I'm not faulting anybody, but there is definitely a difference. I think when the messages don't come from the home that say, you go to school, you learn as much as you can, the kind of messages that my mom and my dad were depositing in my sisters and me, when that's lacking, then kids come to school with a misguided purpose. Now, let me talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, come on.
The purpose is for socialization, which is really why schools were built. A lot of people don't understand that sociology. That's why schools were developed, for socialization. Schools were not developed so that we could teach. It was really to advance the mission of the church as well.
Really?
So, yeah, that's history from a long time
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so, it is a social place. It's where kids can engage with their peers, those who look just like them.
Yes.
And so that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. However, we're not going to play all day. We're not going to socialize all day.
All day, yeah.
And so when I was principal, my students would come in and walked in nice and orderly, because, everybody likes an orderly building. You said it earlier. I don't like when things are not in
It's
order.
got
I
to
do
be
not.
decent and in
I
order.
do. I know. That's another story, a different podcast perhaps. But I want order.
Yeah.
So here's my mantra. When it's time for lunch, let loose because all of us have to have a break at some time. That's your time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get too loud. We're not,
Outside.
that's correct. So go ahead, right? But cut loose at lunch.
Yeah.
But when you get back in that hall,
Mm-hmm.
prepare yourself to enter that classroom and to learn. Teachers are being paid to teach, and you,
Mm-hmm.
my friend,
Mm-hmm.
are being paid to learn. And so as long as we have that, then we're good.
Right.
And
right.
so that's the message that I sent. Now, we talked about some of the gaps. My teachers, I chose.
Mm-hmm.
I handpicked my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I started my own school, so I handpicked my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed them all, sat there, looked at them. I don't really care about your pedigree. Tell me about you. What do you like to do? I want to know
right.
something
you
about
are.
you. Because what your interests are, you can bring that to my students.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back to Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Skoselich, the first teacher I hired. He was the first teacher who sent me a resume when I advertised that I was looking to get teachers.
Mm-hmm.
His resume was on gray speckled cardstock. And I remember doing this with the cardstock, with the resume going, now who is this sending me a resume on cardstock? And when I interviewed him, he said all the right things. And I leaned in and I said, what do you like to do in your spare time? He said, I like to shoot. I said, oh, what? I'm sorry. He said, yeah, I'm a weapons enthusiast. I said, well, what do you shoot? He said, bow and arrow, blah, blah. I said, oh, well, let's talk a little bit, right? Because my goal was I wanted one of the first African-American archers in the Olympics.
Really?
Oh, that was my goal. Oh, yeah, that was my goal. Yeah, I wanted that. I shot in college. I wanted my students to have access to that. So again, he's a reading teacher. He's a social studies teacher. He's an archer. I'm like, immediately.
You're hired.
Immediately.
You know how to what?
Immediately. And I will tell you that his test scores carried our school for many, many, many years. The kids loved him. They respected him. He loved them and respected them. And no one got a pass. No one. You walk in here, you're going to read, and you're going to tackle this text, whatever it is, and you're going to know how to interact with it. And so that's what I wanted. And that's what I wanted for my teachers. So there's a book, a professional text that says if you don't feed the teachers, they'll eat the students. That's
what they're doing right now.
Because they're not being fed.
And you know what? Just calm down. Calm down. You know what? The problem I feel, because I'm in schools.
Yes.
The teachers are just being pushed with this to do, that to do, this to do. There's no personal creativity in the classroom. It's just none. That's one reason why I got out the classroom. I taught for over 18 years as a certified teacher. I got out the classroom for that reason. Well, one of the reasons why I got out. The other reason I'll talk about later on another podcast. But it was like I could not be myself. I'm an artist. So let me teach. I remember I was in 5th grade real quick. I'm in 5th grade teacher over there at Horseman. And they would walk in and look for me. Like, where's the teacher? And I'm on the floor somewhere talking or working with a child. Because I believed in creating units. So if we read, I think it was On the Lamb. I can't think of this. Was it On the Lamb? This little boy that was on the lamb on the run or something. Anyway, I had the children create this thing that he was in, and they had to act everything out. And my scores was through the roof. They retested my children because they felt like I was doing too much acting and too much this. Well, language arts is nothing but performing arts.
Absolutely.
And so my children scored higher than the gifted 5th grade class that was next to me. And they retested them while I wasn't there, and they scored even higher. They did not understand how it was because that principal allowed teachers to actually teach.
Yes.
And I believe that's what pretty much, okay, go on.
That is it.
Yeah.
And so my teachers had the freedom to do that.
Yes.
And so the result was we had award-winning teachers at the school.
Yes.
Golden Apple Award, Drive Award winners. That's just the nature of it. And so I gave them that freedom and that space. I gave students that same freedom and that same space. when you recognize what children need, and they need that kind of a variety, but they need accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding my teachers accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers are holding students accountable.
And who's holding the parents accountable?
So again, we don't we can only
I'm
control what we can
Well,
control.
we can see. I know.
So there's
That's
no
right.
reason for me to even
Right.
get into that.
That's
but
right.
when you walk through my building,
Mm-hmm.
I stand as a principal
Mm-hmm.
in loco parentis.
Mm-hmm.
So does that teacher. That
That's
means your
right.
parent is not here. That
So
means I
I'm
am
your
your parent
parent.
while you are here.
That's true.
Get that in your head.
Yes.
And so that's exactly what we did,
Mm.
and we were successful.
So
yeah.
and I can see why. If you said the key thing to allow teachers to be authentically educators.
Absolutely.
You know, not drill sergeants, but educators, so they don't have to feel so uptight.
There's some accountability
Yeah.
though. There's some accountability
Yeah.
with that. I'm going to give you the leeway. I'm going to trust you.
Yes.
But you gotta
give
bring
me a
it. Return.
You gotta
on
bring
that,
on that
trust.
event.
That's right. That's right.
So listen to this, and I want you. So we ain't gonna talk about the absent parent because you just nailed that. You know, it's our responsibility, educators. Okay, we can't say the mom not teaching. The moment the child get in front of you, if that child lack anything, it's your responsibility to make sure you can pour into the child. We don't want to leave any child behind as educators.
So pause just for a
Yes.
quick second and let me give you this really quick quote.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the introduction
Mm-hmm.
or the preface, I don't remember what she calls it,
Mm-hmm.
of Teresa Perry's book, Young, Gifted, and Black.
Mm-hmm.
So she quotes a farmer
Mm-hmm.
who says, if the corn don't grow, you don't blame the corn.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So if the corn don't grow, you don't blame the corn.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns the corn growing? The farmer.
The farmer.
So if
that's the soil,
everything you've done all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't grow, you don't blame the corn.
Mm-hmm.
You blame yourself. You stop and you take a look.
Mm-hmm.
So if in the classroom
Mm-hmm.
students are not growing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blaming the student.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blaming the teacher.
That's right.
The accountability falls on the teacher. As a chief, I'm not talking to teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to principals.
Mm-hmm.
So if the corn don't grow, what are you doing to help the corn to grow? What's your role in that? The expectation
Mm-hmm.
is you will provide complex texts and complex tasks.
Mm-hmm.
You will ensure that
or
that's
your
what's
teacher,
happening
so
in
your
the
teacher
classroom.
can do it for
Absolutely.
I got you.
Absolutely.
Got
Absolutely.
you. You're looking at Healing is Freedom podcast, and we're talking about education. Period. Oh, I love it. Oh, look, you know that old saying, all my life I had to fight. As a CPS child, I went to school in CPS. My child went to school. We went to Guggenheim Elementary School.
Oh, yes.
And she actually was on my podcast, my 8th grade teacher.
I love it.
And she's been keeping in contact, Dr. Ellis, keeping in contact with me since she gave me my first position as a certified teacher. Well, I was a full-time basic sub. Remember FTBs back then?
Yes.
Okay, I was an FTB when I walked in.
Yes.
And I always told my children, my students that I teach, I said, I call them my children, they like my babies. But I said, you know what? Watch how you act in front of these teachers. I tell them this. I know I'm sidebarring right quick. I said, because they can give you your first job.
Absolutely.
They might not remember your name, but they remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
Right? I said, I knocked on that door, and Dr. Ellis gave me my first educational job and taught me the ropes of how to teach and put me in front of people who can coach me and mentor me. With all that being said, we're talking about this system, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. What role do systematic issues like poverty, over-testing, or lack of resources play in keeping children from thriving academically and emotionally?
So you make that statement as if I agree with it. So let me pause for a second and tell you I don't.
Okay.
Now here's why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there is such a thing as over-testing, because if you know it, you know it. I want you to bring it to me.
Okay.
Let me prove myself. I don't have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's an issue. That's a bone of contention.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think a little bit differently, because if I put an assessment in front of you, if I have taught you, then you'll ace it. There won't be a problem.
It's not
I'm not intimidated by the test. As a matter of fact, I want you to be tested, because it's only going to prove the point that you are intelligent and that the corn is growing. Okay, so I have no problem with testing. That's not the issue. Somebody needs to get off that. What that is an excuse to thwart accountability.
Mm.
If test me, go ahead and test me.
Mm.
Test me. Je parle un peu français. I can't go
Mm.
no further than that. But you can test me on that, right? Pero hablo poquito español. Test me on that. Let's have a conversation. Right?
Yes.
Test me on it. Let me prove it.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
There are lots of things that I can do, lots of things that I can't do. But go ahead and test me. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. Now, poverty. We're talking about something we cannot unpack that in this short amount of time. But poverty absolutely plays a role, and I'm going to tell you the role that it plays. Those of us who are in a different socioeconomic status forgot that we were poor as well. Ooh. And so we treat our students who come in, we treat them differently, as if, look at you with your dirty self, with your scruffy self, with your wearing the same shirt with the stains on it. Please don't you don't have to tell me. I've heard it and I have corrected it.
Yes.
We forget that was once us. And so here's what I say to my teachers when I was a principal. Is this a school that you would want your children to attend?
That part.
If not, why? And what do we need to fix? What do we need to address? Because if it's not good enough for your own children, then it's not good enough for these kids who are here.
That's right.
So until we, as the adults, change our mindset,
yes,
we'll forever see poverty as an impediment to learning. And it isn't. It isn't. Wow. Because I don't care. I don't care that you don't have anything. As a matter of fact, here's what we used to do.
We're gonna go get it.
I would tell my lunchroom manager. Now I'm retired. Now I can talk. I can tell all the secrets. Now I can tell them. I want you to pack lunches for them. And so we had students who would come to the office after school, and they would come and they would get the lunch, whatever my lunchroom manager packed, and put it in their backpacks and leave out the building. That's right. No one ever had to know that they didn't have food at home because they were walking home with food. Look at you. When the students wanted more to eat during lunch period, I would say, give it to them. I don't care. That's right. Well, they already had seconds. So I said, what? I don't care. That's right. I don't care if they eat until they throw up. That's right. Give it to them. That's right. And so we had a cook in our lunchroom. Name was T. We called her T. T would take whatever they gave them from Chicago Public Schools. T would run out and go get some onions and some peppers, and T would have the entire building smelling. You'd be like, oh my goodness, what is this? What is happening? So the kids would run down there to get lunch because Miss T was in the kitchen cooking something good. So give it to them. I don't care. We can help with that. Right. You don't have enough to eat, it's okay, baby. We're going to make sure you eat. That's right. You need to come on back to the Board of Education. Well, the work I'm doing now is equally as powerful, I believe, as a consultant. Yes. I get to travel across the country. Yes. I'm really focused on the region, on Illinois, so I travel up and down the state of Illinois, and I talk to schools and districts about improving education. Good. Equity right now is a dirty word, but I love the word, and so I use it as much as I can. I address issues of race and equity in schools as it impacts student achievement. I talk about emotional intelligence and empathy, and I talk about leadership. And so I'm not concerned about kids. I'm not. I'm concerned about the adults. I want to change your mindset. You know what? I'm thinking as you talk. Okay. So I'm just gonna say it. So at my school, and I won't mention the school. Not only do I teach it through performing arts because I'm the drama teacher there, but I live it. And it's been the biggest challenge getting the teachers to buy into this because they think there's just another thing for us to do. Right. But it's not. It isn't. It's part of what we do as a leader in these schools. And so it's amazing how the pushback we receive. Oh, go down to Miss Queen. She you get it there. But no, it has to be a full investment of what we're doing. My principal believes in it cold-heartedly. Absolutely. But it has to be something that we just walk in and actually do. So when you said that, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. My school, our motto was nurturing a society of leaders. So if that was our model, then
Mm-hmm.
don't you know that my focus was around nurturing leadership?
That's right.
So we were a Leader in Me school. As a
Mm.
matter of fact, the school as it exists now
Mm-hmm.
is a lighthouse school.
That's what we
That was
getting this year.
because
We getting it this year.
so you know what I'm talking about. And so Stephen Covey
Mm-hmm.
created those in the 80s.
Yes, he did.
Those 7 habits are old.
It's 8 now.
Oh no, that's
Yes.
correct. The eighth one is find your voice and
Yes.
inspire others to find theirs.
Yes.
I know what I'm talking
Yes.
about. I
Yes.
told you I'm the real deal.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay. My favorite, my most
What's your
favorite,
favorite?
my favorite habit is habit 5.
Seek
Seek
first
first
to
to
understand,
understand,
then to be
to be
understood.
understood.
I love it.
That's right. So that means I'm going to listen.
Yes.
And if I listen to you,
Mm-hmm.
then I can understand you a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
We can eradicate any gap that
Anything.
has been
Yes.
established by listening to each
Mm-hmm.
other and seeking to understand and come together.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud you all
Thank
for
you.
being a Leader in Me school.
Yes.
My former network had several when I left.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh, so we're awesome. My favorite habit is to be proactive. So I inspire, I teach them how to be the best version of themselves.
Absolutely.
So for the whole month of, since I've been back and coming back from Ghana, my task, I remember you asked, we've seen all of this and had this experience.
That's right.
What's your action plan
That's
now?
right.
And I implemented the moment I got back.
I love it.
When I say completely implemented, I talked to the children about my actual trip, and I also talked to them about how do we connect back, because there's a disconnect from Ghana to Chicago to the United States.
Yes.
Where is the community? Where is the connection of love? So what I did was, one table is a table of love, table of joy, table of hope, table of value, table of respect, table of kindness.
Yes.
And we talked about that. I even had them touch each other and say, I love you, and give a compliment.
Yes.
Because my thing is being proactive. If I have to be the best version of myself, I'm responsible for how I make you feel when you come in my presence.
Yes.
So I believe that when we start loving ourselves, we can then love others and get back to our roots.
Absolutely.
And that's love. We said in the beginning, the way your mom talked to you, how she instilled in you, she gave you boundaries. She gave you, okay, this is what you have to do. We had guide and structure. That's where you get that from.
Absolutely.
Our babies don't have it. They got cell phones. They got laptops. And they got, okay, wait a minute, I want to look like this person. I want to look like that. That's what they got now. They don't want to look like themselves anymore.
Right.
So you say it back to the basics.
Right.
That's one of my after-school programs that I'm implementing in a Hub for the Arts. We got to get back to the basics, but not just academically, but character, your social, not just character, but your social, emotional skills, and you're loving yourself. That's it, basically.
Sure.
Loving yourself. I know got a little overwhelming and passionate, but
But you're right. That's it exactly. And if we don't demonstrate a love for each other, our kids are watching that, and they're emulating.
Yes.
And so we're getting what we put out. So if I'm walking around and I'm cussing you out, that's what the kids are seeing, and that's what they're hearing, and that's what they think is okay. But if I'm walking around and I say, you know what? I actually love you with your crazy self, right? Like if I'm saying that, they hear me, then they hear that just because I'm different, just because there's a difference, or just because I'm different, I'm still receiving some love, then that's what they'll give off as well. But I'm going to go back, and I'm going to talk a little bit just about my mom and dad, right? So my mom and dad always said, we don't want you to struggle the way we did. And so they provided some things for us. So I went to private Catholic school. My parents, we were not rich. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. My sisters and I slept in the dining room. We didn't know. We had bunk beds and a trundle bed. We didn't know, right? That was our room.
Right.
So, but that's what they did, that sacrificing every little penny went for us to go to school, paid for our education. So they didn't want us to struggle like they struggled.
Right.
I believe that is deeply embedded in all of us. We want our children to have it better than we had it, so we give them things. They're not necessarily earning these things. We're giving it to them.
I totally disagree with that so much.
Absolutely, I disagree with
Oh
it.
my God.
But that's what's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
so when their phones break, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, can I get another
Right,
one?
exactly.
Wait a
And they
minute,
feel entitled.
that's a
Uh-huh.
$1,200
They
phone.
feel
That's a
entitled.
$1,500
Yes.
phone.
Yeah.
How did it break?
Yeah.
Well, I dropped it,
Because
right? The attitude is there. And so the appreciation is not there. But
wow.
we have created this
Yes.
as adults.
Yes.
So again, I tell you, I'm not worried about the kids. If the corn don't grow, you
Mm.
don't blame the corn. I'm going to just recite that more and more and more,
Mm-hmm.
because it is not the children we need to blame. We need to stop and take a look at us. What are we perpetrating?
Mm-hmm. And on that note, because we have to wrap up. I want you to look into that camera and tell the parents and educators 3 things we need to start doing today to help our youth. Because right now
Wow.
we need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our babies are hurting. At the end of the day, our children lack so much, and it is our fault. We failed them. We have. We failed our children. And for statements like that, I was just talking to a parent. She's like, "Oh, I gotta make sure my child have this." I said, "Well, where would they learn how to struggle if you give them everything?
Yes.
Where's the strength gonna come from if you don't want her to feel like, well, I'm not gonna let her go hungry? Why not? Why not just give her 3 meals?" I said, because I went to Ghana and they told us that it was one meal, one dish for breakfast, one dish for lunch, and one dish for dinner. And they look quite healthy down.
Absolutely.
Quite healthy.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, Dr. Watkins, and again, you guys are watching Healing is Freedom podcast. This is Dr. Watkins, and we're talking about the lack of educating our children and how it's hurting them and how it's hindering them. And if we don't do something now, when they get big adults, they're going to be little babies mentally. That's what's going to happen. And then now our world is going to be the same as, when do we stop the trend? So can you just look in that camera and just tell them 3 strong things that we as educators and parents can start today? And if you want to talk about 5, just roll it out right now.
So listen, I've got a lot of things on my mind. I could say that I'm going to give you 3, but I don't know. Let's see how many come out. The first thing I think we need to do is really piggybacking on what Queen just said. So we need to teach resilience. You don't learn resilience and grit by being given everything.
Amen.
You've got to earn it. And so we've got to teach our children to be prepared for the unexpected.
Yes.
And to do that, you've got to be resilient. So you've got to keep going. You've got to go beyond what that hurdle is, what that obstacle is. You've got to be prepared for that. The second thing is what I've started saying earlier. And again, I grew up with books. There's nothing wrong with a book. There's actually a book that challenges us to really understand what a book is. So the animal holds it up and somebody says, well, what is that? It's a book. So give them books. There is such a thing as a personal library, a school library, a classroom library, and a public library. In that public library that are geographically situated around the city, take your children there, not just to play, but take them there and expose them to different books. There is a school library. Even if your school doesn't have a librarian, there's still a school library that has books in it. As teachers, take the students to the library and let them look for books. There is such a thing as a classroom library. That classroom library should reflect the students who are in your classroom. We all know this. And then there's a personal library. And I can tell you that my personal library is filled with a variety of genres. And that's what I'm also encouraging for all of us, to be open to different genres. Picture books, fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is, expose them to books. The one thing, again, I'm going to say it one more time, and this will be the last time that I say it here on this podcast. If the corn don't grow, you don't blame the corn. Stop blaming your children. Stop blaming the students, saying, why can't you learn this? If you taught it and they didn't learn, go back and reteach it, teachers. If your children are not learning the way that we all say that we learn, well, that's how I learned. That's how we did it. We've got to get away from that. And we've got to teach them the way that they learn. If it is infusing the arts, then go ahead and infuse the arts, whatever it is. And then the last thing, this is the last thing I'm going to say, we've got to listen. So our children are telling us, they're talking to us, but we're too busy in our phones. Stop walking down the street with your children lagging behind. You and your cell phone, them and their cell phone.
Oh my God.
Stop doing that. We've got to listen to them. We've got to talk to them. And we've got to be prepared to answer some of the most difficult questions that are possibly going to come up. Be prepared to do that. Don't shy away from it. Don't become appalled. If you don't have the answer, please don't make anything up. Find someone who can give you the best answer. So that's probably more than 3, but less than 5.
No, but it was well needed and it was necessary. Dr. Watkins, thank you so very much.
It's my honor.
Something you said, I was driving just the other day, and I'm very observant. I watch everything, and I looked over to the left of me while I was at the red light, and it was 5 people doing this here doing this. That's just everybody on the bus stop was this. I said, now somebody can jump out their car, grab every piece of their belongings, and before they can just say stop or grab back, the person could have been gone.
Absolutely.
Because everything is here. Our babies, when I see them at 1:30, my last class, I tell them to give me their phones because they record and everything. Every child have an iPhone, even if they can't read. They got an iPhone. And no, it's not the child's fault. It's not. It seems like parents are actually giving their children things that they wish they could have had at their child's age. And it's causing the child to miss something. That's the gap. They don't know how to work for it. They ask for it. And when they don't get it, now they're mad. And by any means necessary, they're going to get it. Absolutely. And this is why God said in the Bible, it says, children are weaker but wiser. Wiser but weaker. And they're weak because everything that they can think for themselves is being thought for them in these phones and this internet. So, but thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys heard as many as she said. It didn't matter. You should rewind this and write down, and if you're guilty at anything, stop it today. Start today. Take action today and start teaching your children. You're not their friend. You are not their friend. They are not your friend. Teach your child, okay? Because this world needs them to survive. Yes. So with nothing else further to say, thank you for subscribing and being a part of Healing is Freedom podcast. I'm going to end with this little poem that I sort of wrote a little bit, just a little something. It's called Teach Me, Hold Me. Teach me the letters. Teach me how to read. Teach me math. Read me a story, mommy. Sing me a song. Guide my small footsteps when the road feels long. Don't leave me wondering, hungry for light, hungry for maturity. Nurture my spirit, and I'll grow up right. When love and support are missing at home, a child feels abandoned and left alone. But with gentle hands and voice that care, we plant seeds of hope that blooms everywhere. The book we don't open, the lessons we hide, become heavy chains that children must ride. Yet healing begins when the village stands tall, saying, you matter, you're worthy, you belong to us all. I am your host, Vanita Queen Abrams, on Healing is Freedom podcast. Have a fantastic day, and remember, healing is not just a destination, it's a lifestyle.